everybody. Welcome back to Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. I am joined by Khalil Coe. Thanks so much for joining the show today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me up here, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Where are you at right now? You're in Jersey?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey. In training camp, getting ready for the next one.
That's what I was going to ask. When is the next one? What is it coming up soon or what are the plans?
Soon. That's all I can say at the moment.
You can't reveal any info or anything on the podcast.
Nah, not yet.
Not yet. All right, cool. Well, how's everything going with training camp? I know, your last fight, you were on the big show on the Matchroom card. We'll talk about that, how that came about. But how you feeling looking to make that second pro fight, make another statement?
Definitely, I guess I feel like I did what I was supposed to do, but with better competition, I always feel like I can do better, so I'm just practicing on things that I didn't do so well. And I mean, it wasn't that long of a fight, but we break down everything, every fight, and we look on what we can do better. So right now I'm just, like I said, always back to the drawing board. A win doesn't always help you, sometimes you learn more from the losses, but so
what do you feel like? You mentioned, basically that sometimes you might fight down to your competition or fight up to your competition. Like, do you think in that first pro debut, obviously you got the result you were looking for, but do you ever feel that like in amateur fights too? Like, would you ever fight down to your competition, or is it make it more difficult when there's a guy in front of you, you're better than?
Yes, it does. Cause sometimes you tend to get lax, you tend to, over, like I would say, too confident, anybody has a puncher's chance. So it's like, you never know what that guy can hit you with. Unorthodox, like he's out, like an awkward fighter. You're not used to that. You're used to people that actually have time, like actually is on your level. So you're more aware of certain things that you might not be aware of when someone who's really not on your level, they might throw something that you would never expect, and it only takes one punch.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, I think a lot of fans and people who watch boxing, they don't realize that a lot of these kind of pro debut fights or early on in your career, sometimes these opponents are really dangerous because you don't know what they're going to throw. They're so unorthodox. They're not coming at you like with the fundamental approach always. So it can be, dangerous in there, but you got the result you were looking for. We're moving on. You got your second pro fight on the books soon. But to rewind everything here and kind of go back to, your start in boxing. I saw in an interview, you were talking a lot about how your mom got you into the gym because you were getting in trouble. You were getting in fights, outside in the street or whatever. What was the first day like when your mom brought you into that gym? You said you just loved it right away. You loved the atmosphere, the energy.
Immediately, I still like, I can visually like see what happened when I walked in the gym, like as far as like from the bag situation set up to the ring, I can smell the leather, like it was different for me, it was like I played a lot of sports, but this one was like, oh, okay, I see people in the ring punching each other and punching the bag. I'm like, oh, I'm about to do that. Like that's gonna be me. Now I'm trying to get the boxing shoes. I'm trying to get the all the look, the haircuts, like the boxers, everybody. I'm like, but it was amazing feeling. Like every day I was rushing to get home so I could go to the gym. Like I want to hurry up and I had to do my homework, so I'm trying to do it in class. I'm getting in trouble for doing my homework in class just so I could go home and just go straight to the gym. But it definitely changed my life.
So there was no hesitation after getting hit a few times in the gym because you already had some experience fighting, right, outside in the street and stuff like that?
Me, it was more like I had to get payback. Like, you guys beat me up today, but eventually I'm gonna get mine. So every day I came back, I used to ask to spar a lot. You're like, no, not sparring every day. But I always wanted to get mine back. Like, if I land one punch today, I'm gonna land 3 the next time we spar. So it was always about get back and payback, revenge. It was revenge with me.
So I'm sure your mom was happy, right? You had your energy focused more in the gym. For yourself too, like on the mental aspect of things, like you were getting in fights outside of the gym, but now that you were training and you wanted to be in there as much as possible, like that must have gave you a lot of structure, right? And we kind of just like inner peace, like you just
Definitely, because it teaches you discipline. Like you can use that in many different aspects in your life. Like discipline, it helps with everything. Like, oh, what happened? Oh, you see me?
Yep. Oh,
Yeah, but it, it it helps you deal with everything. Like as far as like maintaining your weight, you got to know what to eat and how to eat. And once she's seen, I was like, oh, ma, I can't eat that, ma. She would cook. Like, ma, my coach said I can't eat that. I gotta, so it'd be funny to her. She'd be like, well, you better eat this food. I cooked all this food, eat this food. But I'm like, my coach said I can't eat that. So like it started off little stuff like that. Like I stopped eating candy and chips. Like I still don't eat that stuff to this day. Like, but it did a lot for me. Definitely.
So you were maybe going to be a heavyweight at one point, but since then you cutting down.
Yeah, definitely.
So what weight are you going to go at in the future? Is it going to be light heavyweight? Are you going to go to 168? Are you going to bounce around?
I'm gonna be campaigning at 68, but my next one will be at 75. But in the future, I will definitely be at 68.
Okay. So at 75 and at 68, do you feel like there's much of a difference in your power or abilities, or not too hard to get there?
It's not too. I've been to 168 before. Like in the amateurs. Actually, I was almost. I would say I was around 169, 170. I had to stop when I went to the chemistry cup. When I actually fought the Cuban, I was really light. So they told me like I had to calm down on the workout. I was too excited. That was my first international tournament. I was like, I gotta, and I wound up getting really low, and I didn't feel any different or anything like that. I still feel strong. I probably was a little faster,
Yeah.
but I feel good. I feel good.
And talk to me a little bit about the fight against the Cuban fighter Julio Cesar Cruz, who's I believe in the Olympics right now. But when you fought him, you knocked him out, and he was kind of showboating a little bit early on, and he paid for that. Was that, were you kind of expecting to hurt him in there, or just the knockout came?
I wasn't expecting a knockout at all. I know I wanted to hurt him because you can't leave it up to the judges when you were fighting him. You see what I'm saying? So I know I had to make it clear. I didn't know I was going to knock him out, but I trained to win. So I was understandable. So and people felt he wasn't showboating. That's how he fights. The Cuban team. There's only a few of the guys on that team that actually try to hurt you, like, or punch, like try to punch. Most of them just try to like pity pat, get like points and things like that. You see, so it's really rare when you have to like worry about a punch with them guys. So you can watch the fight. There was a time where I even put my hands down, and I backed up, like, because he just was dancing around the ring, and I'm like, that's not a fight.
Yeah.
Like I put my hands down and I backed up, made him come to me. So it was like I heard my team yelling certain things, and then I heard my coach in the corner. If you listen, my coach told me to throw the punch. Coach K. Karoma, he told me to throw that punch. So it all comes with just listening to your corner and have confidence in your camp and your training.
No doubt. I mean, that win obviously got you a lot of buzz. It's led to where you're at now, and Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, part of that promotion, a lot of huge fights that they got going on, and you're going to be a part of that future for them. Talk to me about getting that call from Eddie Hearn or Matchroom, and realizing that you're going to be part of one of the premier promoters and premier shows.
Definitely. There was there's a I know a lot of guys that were signed with Matchroom, you know, so it was like, all right, cool, let's come my teammates on there. So that'll be dope, you know. So at first I was dealing with you know, I was dealing with top rank. I was leaning toward top rank, you know, and then that didn't work out. And I was dealing with as I was actually talking to PBC, they Matchroom, you know, one of the Julian, you know, Hammerhands, his father reached out and was like, yeah, Eddie would like to sit down and talk to you, you know. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I don't want to go to PBC no more. I want to go to Matchroom, you know. So I just dropped everything and was like, all right, when can we meet? You know, and we said we had set up a meeting, Kevin Rooney and a couple other guys, you know, and we just made it happen.
Did you always envision that, like, in your head, like signing with a big promoter like that? I know you've gone through some issues like outside of the ring, you know, legally and stuff like that, and you having to stay focused and just make sure that, you know, you're envisioning success and you know, did you have that in your head, those pictures of signing with a big promoter and getting that first fight under your belt?
That for a while, I definitely, you know, I had big plans. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, because literally after I fought the Cuban, all of the promoters were contacting me. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, my manager, we're like, oh, we have options, you know. And then I got into some legal trouble, and I had to go away for a while. And once I came back, I had doubt, like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna be the same, so I'm gonna have to work extra hard, you know. So my manager, we put up the that's when we had the meeting. They seen me training and things like that, you know. It was like, oh, I guess, and they like, oh, we didn't forget you, you know. We remember, like. So and that was a blessing, you know, for them to even give me that opportunity again.
Yeah, and I'm sure just for your own mental side and like the people listening, like I think it's an interesting topic for them to like draw inspiration from, because at that point when you're really down, you know, you had to have been talking to yourself, right? Giving yourself encouragement, giving your not only your mental game, keeping that strong, but physically, I'm sure, you know, you had to continue to work out and make sure you didn't, you know, get fat or, you know,
yeah, definitely.
stay ready. So I guess if you could give a little insight into like day to day, like how you kind of kept yourself in a positive mindset and how it all really paid off. I mean, look at yourself now. It all worked. So you're where you envisioned you were going to be going.
Definitely, you know, for a while I didn't do anything, you know. Like I was more beating myself up, or, oh, how did I get into this? How did I, you know, like it was more of a mental battle with myself, you know. Then once I spoke to a few people, they're like, boxing this is what they told me, boxing is a redemption sport, you know. All you have to do is you have to want it, you know. So I got out of what you call it, the slump, you know. I started training and reading, you know, reading and praying. You know, that's what it works, man. It works. You feed the brain, the muscle, everything will come together. You know, and next thing you know, I was up and running, you know, without even realizing what I was doing. So when it was that time, I was ready.
Yep. It's you're right. It's a redemption sport. Everyone loves a good comeback too. So I'm sure people are excited for your success and they want you to keep it rolling. But you know, one a little side note here, like I was watching some of your past interviews and, you know, you had the opportunity to spar Terrence Crawford. I'm sure there's a bunch of other names too that we don't even know about, but you know, Terrence clearly on top of the game right now. We want to see him fight Errol Spence, but Errol's got to fight Pacquiao, which is a tremendous fight. I can't wait for that. But talk to us about sparring Terrence Crawford, like maybe what he was like in the ring or what you picked up from him, what you learned from just being around.
The work ethic, you know. He works like crazy. Like he does uh 15 rounds of sparring straight, 4-minute rounds. All like he molded like, oh, like one day, all right, if this is what he did to get where he's at, then I'm gonna do this, If this is what he have to do and put the time in and work, like we were in Colorado, we running the I'm not sure many people might not know about it, but it's called like the Monitor Incline. It's like it's a mountain, we go up there, we run up the mountain, and it's harder than people think, We go up the mountain, you climb the mountain, steps, and run down. This guy's taking off on us, with a backpack on. He's just gone. I'm like, what? Then he runs with the water that's on his book bag. Now we got to chase him. It's just everything. It's just from the diet to even outside of the ring, Like he doesn't. We were all in one house. We playing the game for push-ups and things like that. Everything was to get better.
Yeah, he's definitely got that old school work ethic and mentality. And, I say old school because I don't know if you had a chance to see, but recently that documentary on Showtime called The Kings, and it focused on Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, and just kind of how they all had to fight each other, that era of boxing, how crazy that was. And you get to see firsthand in that documentary how hard these guys worked outside of the ring training. And, a lot of people classify Terrence Crawford as kind of an old school throwback fighter, a Marvin Hagler type switch stance. A lot of people draw that comparison. And Sugar Ray Leonard's a guy that you are a big fan of, right? You didn't really grow up a huge boxing fan, but once you got into the sport, he was a guy that you kind of idolized, right?
Yes, sir. My favorite fighter all time.
Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, he had some absolute wars that were highlighted in that doc. I mean, of course, against Marvin Hagler, Hearns, and then, in his fights with Duran, of course.
Duran.
He fought those guys were just they were just built different. I mean, it was crazy. But what about Duran's game? What about Sugar Ray Leonard's game? Did you really like?
He was as coming up, he was flashy. That's what caught my attention, Then I had the older people in the gym, like, oh, check this out. They weren't really like onto the new school boxing. So when I was watching them, I just like even the footwork and the afro, he used to dance around the ring, and and he was fast. Like it was crazy. I used to try to do that exact thing on the punching bag, the footwork and everything, It didn't look the same, but I was trying it. But he just, oh man, he's spectacular.
Mike Tyson on his podcast talked with Sugar Ray Leonard, and there was two things that he said that I thought was so cool. Like, and he was getting emotional about it. He was saying, man, like, but Sugar Ray could hit twice and it sounded like one punch, like just his speed, how fast he was. And then he also was joking around with Sugar Ray saying, man, you're just a pretty motherfucker. He kept saying pretty all this. But he's like, people don't realize like that you were a killer though, a dog too. And they looked at him and thought he was like this flashy, good looking dude, but he was just as much a killer as Duran or Hearns or any of those guys. So, interesting dynamic, right? When you get a guy who's got the look and then also he's just a dog in the ring.
You underestimate guys like that. But that's what boxing teaches you. It teaches you, to never underestimate anyone, because you never know what anyone is capable of, I remember one guy I met from North New Jersey. The first time I seen him, I had took my girlfriend out to get her feet and her nails done and things like that, So when I walked into the store, here this guy was. He was sitting there getting his nails and his feet done, and I'm like, okay, like kind of feminine, And the next time I seen this guy, he was in my gym and he knocked somebody out, His name is John Thompson. I'm like, okay, see that right there? You never know what someone,
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
You can't judge a book by the cover, no doubt. But yeah, it's crazy. Sugar Ray is obviously a legend, but guys in your weight class or around your weight class that you like? I know if you've mentioned in the past, right, Andre Ward and some guys like that, but you know, in today's game, 168 is hot. You got Canelo, of course, Benavidez, Caleb Plant, and then another guy from Brooklyn, you know, that was with Keith as well as Edgar Berlanga.
Yeah.
And he's another young guy coming up at 168, knocking everybody out. His last fight was great. It went the distance. But man, there's a lot of buzz around your weight division.
Listen, it's gonna if I clash, hopefully the clash with any one of them guys, you know, just know it's gonna be explosive. You know, they know about me. I'm pretty sure they, you know, I had a chance to meet Bivol. I'm pretty sure he didn't know what I told him. I understand what I was saying, but I told him I was gonna knock him out. You know, I was still an amateur at the time, but I didn't care. You know, like I spar with the best of them. You know, so I really like I watch and I study everybody. You know, I watch Benavidez, I watch Berlanga. You know, I like Caleb though. Caleb, that's he did the footwork. He's one of them guys. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people are sleeping on Caleb. You know, it's so hard to pick against Canelo, right? I mean, it's hard for me to see anyone beating Canelo right now, but I don't know. I mean, I think Caleb beats Billy Joe Saunders.
Definitely.
So it's like, you know, you never know. I think Caleb's he's a great test for Canelo. What do you think? Do you think he's got a chance if they make that happen?
Listen, Billy Joe Saunders was actually beating Canelo. You know, he just got a little too confident and got a little too close to Canelo. You know, and I don't see Caleb doing that. I think he's a smarter fighter than that. You know, he knows he's not underestimating Canelo. You know, I don't think he will go in and underestimate him. I know that he will box. He's gonna have to box him the whole 12. You know.
Yeah, no one wants to stand toe to toe with Canelo unless it's maybe Triple G or maybe Benavidez would as well. It's just another future matchup that could happen.
I would love to see that. That would Benavidez is a dog. I don't think he don't care who's in front of him. He's a dog, you know. And he just walks to you, hands down. He just walks to you. I just like to bring that energy to someone, and you just in a professional ranks, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. You don't see that too often. Like a guy is able to walk forward like that with that classic Mexican style. I mean, yeah, it's wild. But there's some, as we're talking about it, you know, there's a lot of hot matchups right now. You got Errol Spence and Pacquiao. It's another great fight. I'd like to ask your opinion on a few of these fights. So starting out with Errol and Pac-Man, personally, I'm riding with Pacquiao just because he's such a legend and I want to see him win. I mean, I think it's clearly a tall task, but how do you see that playing out?
I love Pacquiao, you know. I love his story, where he come from. I've been watching Pacquiao forever, you know. But I want him to win, but we know better, you know.
You think Errol stops him?
It's a possibility, you know. I think it'll go the distance, you know. It's not. I don't think it's gonna be easy for Errol, because Pacquiao is different, you know. He hasn't fought anybody with that explosive. You never know when he's coming in about 12 punches and then he's back out again. You never know. Like, so I think it'll be a good fight. I think it'll be definitely a good fight. I want him to win. And I like Errol Spence too, but he's like a legend. I don't want to see a legend, you know. Nah, I can't. It'll hurt my feelings.
Nah, I'm with you. I think I'd like to see Pacquiao get it done, but I think Errol's probably, my heart says Pacquiao, brain Spence. You know, we'll see what happens, but I'm excited that it's happening. You know, we're not getting the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight, which everyone wants, but this is pretty good. I mean, this is close to that fight. You know, like I'm just happy we're getting good fights. So in the heavyweight division right now, of course, we have Wilder and Fury, now postponed to October. Give me your thoughts on really what I want to know is, Malik Scott, who's a guy, I've interviewed before, and I think a really, really good dude. I've spent some time with him, and really interesting, just approach in general. Like, do you think he has enough time to get Wilder basically to teach an old dog new tricks?
I mean, that goes back to what I was saying. Like, it's all on how bad you want it. You fought this guy twice, one draw, one loss. How bad do you want to beat this guy? Like, you have to really want. You have to be a sponge and be willing to learn and be teachable. It's I can't say it's easy, but all you have to do is listen. Listen, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think he can get it done, but he has to want it. He has to want it more than anybody else.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know who to pick. I'd like to ride with Wilder, USA guy, and I like his team and stuff like that. Fury. But man, it's hard to pick against Fury too, because I like Fury. I like both of them, but
definitely Fury. He's a beast. He doesn't fight like a heavyweight. He doesn't fight like a modern day heavyweight. He fights like he has the footwork, and he does the. You don't really expect that from a guy with his size, even with his build. You wouldn't expect that. You're like, this guy. Oh, he doesn't. Until you actually get in the ring with him, and then you see, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, his movement is ridiculous. I mean, he's fun to watch. Great fight. So I can't wait for that. We got some big fights coming up in the boxing world right now. Canelo, Plant, hopefully, the heavyweight trilogy, Pacquiao, Spence. I know there's some big fight rumors that I'm sure are going to be announced very soon, that we can't wait for. We're excited to continue watching your career as you rise through the ranks. But while you're in training camp too, just to kind of like wrap up on this, for maybe the people listening, get to know you a little bit better. When you're hanging out, after a hard training session, like, what are you flipping on TV, or like, what are you into? Do you like watching other sports like basketball or football, or what? Like, is there movies, TV shows, anything you're on?
I was into this show called Manifest. I watched the show Manifest a little bit, but I like to play the game. I play the game 2K, Madden, GTA. That's what I do.
So anybody that wants, to play you, they got to get your gamer tag, and they got to see what kind of
just drop the gamer tag and it's up.
That's cool. Well, hey man, I appreciate you spending some time talking a little boxing with me. It was super interesting to get to know your story a little bit and get to know you a little. And I'm excited to continue watching your career. I know the fans are. You're going to be another big name into the Shark Tank of the 168, 175 kind of range. So, we're excited for you. Let the people know if, where they can follow you on IG, or any shout outs you want to give.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me, first of all, and you can follow me on Instagram at Khalil Coe _. I'm on Twitter at Khalil Coe and the number 1. And I just want to give a shout out to all of the people that support me, and that's behind me and pushing me. I appreciate y'all.
No doubt. Everyone go check this out at the Pod Matrix on YouTube, and follow me on Instagram at Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. Appreciate the interview. It'll be out very soon. Let's go.